Good day, lovely people. Thanks for joining me. You know, the weather's been so beautiful. I've been working my butt off outside, amending beds and starting to plant in the greenhouse and just absorbing the energy of the sun. My soul comes to life just like all of these plants that are exploding out of the ground at the moment. And I've said this in other videos, I really go inwards during the winter and I don't really do a lot. I spend a lot of time just hiding in the house and kind of hibernating, and as soon as the sun comes out, I jump to the other polarity of always doing something. And I love this time of the year, and I love when I have lots to do because I get into that groove and just And just like the polarities I've been noticing in different cultures, I've been noticing things I really appreciate from both pagan culture and Christian culture. And I mean pagan in the sense like kind of these the Hindu stuff and the sound therapy and meditation practices, and a lot of the Eastern stuff, but also just the non-Abrahamic faiths. And as I've been seeing people from these two groups, because I don't really see any from many other groups, I just see like the mother worshipping pagans and the father worshipping Christians, and I realize what are the beauties of both of these things. And I've seen so much beautiful things in the mother, and I'll call the pagan group the mother, and I'll call the Christian group the father. And even in the Christian group, one of the churches I've gone to is definitely more the mother than the father. And to be honest, I kind of enjoy being around the father. It's my whole life I haven't had that really masculine energy, and that's hey Gandhi. You got it. Good boy. So the one of the churches I go to, they are very strict, and sometimes I can tell they're probably too strict, and they might be putting people into like a safe bubble, because the masculine wants to protect people from the darkness. So sometimes in protecting them, you're actually not empowering them. So and then in the pagan or the mother group, I see a lack of anybody protecting from anything. It's like an acceptance of everything, both dark and light. It's they don't want to make any judgments. They don't want to point any fingers. They just want everyone to be comfortable. And in that way, they end up harming each other and having all these issues happen. So, there's the two ideas between Christianity, which is we're a fallen race. We are all fallen. We all are sinners. And the pagan thing where you're a goddess, you're a god, and in Hinduism they have 33 million gods. So it doesn't take much for to be called a god in the mother group. But in the father group, people won't let you get away with any kind of, they keep you humble. They won't allow you to say any of those kind of things. And I think there's a magic to both sides. For example, Jesus says, "Do you not know you are all gods?" But that's a different thing, and I'll keep that for another video. But for now, I want to talk about everyone's a god or a goddess. And to be honest, I've never heard anybody be called a god. I've only heard women call each other goddesses, and some of the pagan men calling women goddesses, but I've never really heard much for anybody being called gods. But shamans or something they'll call themselves, or these other names. And I think like there is an importance of humility and realizing is that we are all sinners. Yes, we have a spark. We also all have a spark of divinity inside of us, a spark of it. We're not a raging fire like Christ. And that's why when you can look at a cup half full or half empty. You can say, I'm this much divine and this much fallen. But which side should we probably stray to the side of? Like, which side do you think we should be more on, rather than, I would say we should know that we all we all never hit the target perfectly and even aim at the right target. And to sin is to miss the mark, right? So that's like, if we're thinking about an archery, say there's 10 targets to hit all the time, in every moment of our lives, all the time. And Christ is the one that hits every single hits the perfect target, the target he's supposed to hit, perfectly in the center, because he's the sinless man. He is the archetype of God that we all want to strive towards. So, as a human becomes better at hitting the mark, but they're still sinning every time you hit and it's not perfect, that is a sin, because you haven't hit the perfect mark. So I would say a healthier way to look at things is I aim at the wrong targets sometimes, and even so sometimes I hit the middle of the target, but it's the wrong target. Sometimes I'm hitting the right target, but I'm not perfectly centered all the time. And that way we're always like a pro-growth mentality. We're always just comparing ourselves. That we all strive to do what Jesus does all the time. However, do we all have the wisdom to do so, or the ability to separate ourselves from the flesh to do so? We should be shooting in front of people so that people can scrutinize what we're saying. With the mother group, they're always like, wow, you're doing great, you're awesome. It's like everyone gets a trophy kind of thing, and nobody is known for their true competence, because everybody's treated the same. And when with the Father there is hierarchies that happen, because there are people that have transcended out of their flesh more, hit the right mark more than others, but they are all still fallen short of Christ, as we all are. So I think that, if we all want the best for the world, then we want the best for ourselves. And if we want to treat our neighbor as we treat ourselves, then we would tell them the truth all the time. We would tell them when they did hit the mark perfectly, and reward them for it and thank them for it, because it's helping all of us. But we also tell them when they're missing the mark. That's how we balance the mother with the father, is use the truth, So it was just a little short chat. I wanted to talk about that, and I know come from a fallen place. I have all the darkness inside me. I have that dragon I have to keep on a chain inside of me, just like everybody else does. However, we should all try to ascend out of that as much as we possibly can, and try to make that little spark of divinity inside of all of us into a raging fire. Whether we can or not, we should be always doing our best to do so. And that means speaking with each other, putting this love out to each other and saying, is this the same message that comes from you? And letting people really come into their voice and speak. And that sometimes if we're letting people shoot lots and lots of arrows and they're speaking lots and lots of words, you're gonna have to tell them when they've missed and how to shoot better next time. Some of us know how to shoot at certain targets better than others. We should know where we're more competent and when we're not so competent. And we should know and look out to others to see who's competent in our communities, instead of looking at ourselves as gods or goddesses. Instead, we should look at the spark of divinity in everybody and try to get that fire raging in everybody. And that's the sign of somebody that's trying to bring the body of Christ together, is to get that fire raging in everyone as much as they possibly can. And we have to have it raging in ourselves before we can get it raging in others. I love you all very much, and God bless. Take care and enjoy this beautiful weather.